Welcome one and all to my first and last ride outside this summer. Still in the back brace following my crash and shepherded by Alberto from cycling in Tenerife on smooth and safe roads surrounded by exceptional beauty and seeking to put into practice my recovery training over the last 8 weeks where I've sought to build back solid endurance fitness in order to enable me to ascend Europe's longest climb, 45 kilometres and 2,200 metres of elevation. And we're also going to flash back a little bit to some of the preparation I used to dial in my pacing strategy. Well, welcome one and all to a family holiday here in Tenerife. It's been 11 weeks since my nasty cycling accident that left me in hospital for 2 weeks requiring operations and then gradually recovering from nasty spine, head, jaw and also teeth injuries, still waiting for the teeth to be repaired. Plus, as you can see, I'm still wearing a back brace to protect the spine. Now, while this week's been all about the R&R and spending time with the family, I'm allowing myself just one ride, my first ride outdoors, in order to ascend Europe's longest climb, going all the way from the Adeje coast in our hotel here, up to the town of Chio, and then from Chio onto the top of Mount Teide. It's about 43 kilometres, 2,200 metres of climbing, and really looking forward to it, albeit going to be taking it very carefully. And the objective of the day is to put into practice all of the recovery training that I've been doing over the last 8 weeks in particular, to gradually build back a little strength through the lower body and the core, and to rebuild my endurance fitness indoors on the Wattbike Pro, where I've gradually improved from around about 130 to 150 watts for just 20 minutes, and I was super puffed at the end of that, all the way to around about 200 watts over 2 hours most recently. And shepherding me up the climb today is a true gentleman from the cycling world, Alberto. Hey Alberto,
Good
amazing
morning.
to see you again.
Good morning.
Morning. And Alberto's joined by his beautiful wife Cecelia, who's going to be driving the van with my rock Jayne in attendance. And she may even join us on the e-bike at the back of the van for the final 15 kilometres of Teide or so. Anyway, time to hit it. Thank you, Albert. Really
Thank you.
appreciate
We
you
are
coming.
ready.
We are ready indeed.
Ready.
You're ready. Off you go then.
Hey, Jayne.
Yeah, you're almost there.
Feels great to be back out, Alberto.
Nice warm up.
Yeah, very nice warm up. Back out indeed for just one day and a unique and safe opportunity for at least another 5 to 6 weeks until the back brace is off. 5 kilometres in.
Feel good?
Feeling good, Alberto. Cheers.
Very good.
It's good to have you riding with me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Teide is my father.
Teide is indeed your father. And one hell of a father. And one hell of a father he is. Still feeling good?
Stay
Pacing
good.
you nicely.
I love the downhill.
I hate the downhill.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to descending in your van.
Still 30-kilometer climb.
Yes, indeed. Some way to go.
Chio.
Adeje to Chio in around about an hour and 5 minutes. Now for the main course.
All good?
Here we go. Fared and without the exoskeleton. And now with the exoskeleton. So here we are. The main course. One of the most magnificent climbs in Europe. Love this climb. Love the views of the volcano as we ascend. Feels great to be alive and back on the bike.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. Had some issues with battery.
And then over here. And now I'm riding with Jayne, 30 kilometres in, 1,350 metres of climbing, 1 hour 42, average power 201 watts. Feels good. Heart rate stable, 160 to 162. And before coming away, here's how I estimated what my maximum endurance power would be for this challenge, my Lactate Threshold 1.
This morning, after a full rest day, I'm taking Mark Bentley's advice and seeing how long I can ride at 200 watts for. Also, very focused on the pedalling technique, trying to get a nice circular motion. And I find that improvements in pedalling technique definitely lead to more power for the same watts. But you have to practice pedalling technique some way below your anaerobic threshold. This kind of tempo for me is the perfect pace to experiment. So there you have it, 2 hours averaging 199 watts, and I was having to use every trick in the book. It was proper difficult today, humid, plenty of effort there left on the floor, and I was really having to engage the deep breathing in and deep breathing out, plus re-engage the nice pedaling technique when I saw the technique kind of deteriorating a little bit in terms of left-right balance or the pedaling efficiency, all in order to get the biggest bang for my buck in terms of the power versus perceived effort. Now, the intent today was obviously to go as long as I could at the 200 watts whilst sustaining a heart rate at or below 170 beats per minute, nice and stable. So definitely in terms of the pacing for Teide, I'm aiming for something like 180 watts for the first hour, and then when we hit the Chio segment, the longest segment, 23 kilometers, I reckon about 190 to 200 watts. Fingers crossed. The reason I'm so intent on finding where my LT1, my Lactate Threshold 1 is because, as I've said, I reckon it's the most useful power for the average recreational cyclist to go fast, over reasonably good distances, anywhere from 70 to 150, 160 kilometers, and climb well. And that's going to be critical for me for my Teide challenge. Now, of course, for the Teide challenge, I'm not going to be dragging the Watt Bike Pro up the 45 kilometer climb. It's going to be a different power meter, my Asioma Duo pedals. And what I've found in the past is that typically the Asioma Duos read about 5 or 6 watts higher than the power from the Watt Bike Pro. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a little test later on in the week. And of course, I'm going to recalibrate those LT1 thresholds that I just referred to, somewhere between 190 to 200 watts upwards, depending on the power differential between the Watt Bike Pro and the Asiomas in the test. Kilometers in, 1500 meters of ascending, average power 201, heart rate controlled at 165. Hey Alberto, hey Cecelia. I'm using these Favero Asiomas on the hired bike in Tenerife. So what I want to do right now is calibrate them very quickly. Super easy. All done. And now run a quick comparison during a 2 times 15 minutes to see how the power through the Asiomas compares to the power through the Watt Bike Pro, and then make appropriate adjustments to the powers that I've been using the last 7 weeks in order to calculate accurately the LT1, the Lactate Threshold 1 power that I'm going to use for the Teide challenge. 13 minutes into the second block of 15. On the first block, the Asiomas were 11 watts higher. When I completed both on the 15-minute intervals, about 242 watts for each, about 253, 254 on the Asiomas, back to Teide.
What a day, but I took care not to get carried away.
Jayne needs to stop in a minute and lift her seat up.
And to stick to my 200 watt pacing strategy and maintain a solid and upright position on the bike.
Average power, 201 watts. Heart rate stable, 164.
The contrast of blue sky, fluffy white clouds below us, fragrant green pines and black lava was mesmerising, absolutely breathtaking. And gracefully, Jayne now accelerates off and away from me in order to give herself a little bit of distance and time, some latitude to make some adjustments to her saddle, in turn providing a nice little arty montage of me gradually getting distance and disappearing until I become nothing more than a couple of pixels in the vanishing point. And like a boss, I bridge back across to her, conveniently forgetting in my own deluded mind that she's stationary.
Oh, nice one, well done.
It wasn't very elegant.
Jayne has fixed the saddle. 500 metres of climbing left or so. Two hours 10, 37 kilometres in, average power still 201. How much further have we got? 8 kilometres to go.
Sincere gratitude to Alberto and Cecelia and also Enrico from Cycling in Tenerife for shepherding me up the climb and sorting out a problem with Jayne's camera at our rendezvous point, and then ingeniously getting Jayne back up to me so I didn't have to stop.
Hey Alberto, how about this? Very hard. Average 201 watts, 38 kilometres in, about 7 to go. I can talk.
And thanks also to Alberto for some wonderful camera work and taking me on this ride after 2 months well-earned off-season R&R. Cycling in Tenerife were amazing in January and went above and beyond this August. I should also add that the family holiday was booked long before my accident. Therefore, the opportunity to ride this climb again was somewhat fortuitous.
40 kilometres in, 1900 metres of climbing. 201 watts.
Teide is only 200,000 years old and formed in the base of a different and now extinct volcano crater that was once 5,000 metres high, but imploded or indeed fell in on itself via a series of volcanic eruptions, leaving Teide to gradually form via a series of volcanic eruptions that have piled up layer upon layer of volcanic detritus over the centuries, rising to a height today of 3,700 metres above sea level. Its most recent eruption was 1908 from a side vent. The black volcanic lava is very distinct and is from the second volcano in the area, the Peak of Adeje, which rises 3,100 metres above sea level and is the second tallest mountain in Spain behind Teide. It last erupted in 1798. You can see, and the data will verify, that I was very disciplined with my power, staying right on my estimated lactate threshold 1, i.e. my maximum endurance power. It's a physiological threshold that we all ought to be cognizant of, because it's as rapid as we can individually go for sustained hours, whilst sparing carbohydrates and energy, provided we eat enough carbs before we get on the bike and whilst on the bike. And in the next video, I'll show how I build this key top-end endurance capacity without a visit to a laboratory, using just 4 to 7.5 hours of training per week, including some strength and conditioning work. My training over the previous 8 weeks served me well. I averaged 200 watts and 16.8 kilometers an hour over 2 hours 40 minutes. 8 minutes slower than when I completed the same climb in February, but in the context of the crash and the injury sustained 12 weeks prior, it felt amazing to be back out again.
You okay?
Yeah.
It's quite a first ride.
Yeah. Well, that was the intent. And I won't be riding out again for a while.
To do like this. Adesso mi metto di qua. Sì.
Oh, left right balance 50-50. There we go, 45 kilometre climb, 2,200 metre descending, average power 200 watts. Alberto, Cecelia, thank you ever so much for shepherding me up the climb safely and for an amazing job to get Jayne back on the wheel. There was quite some cycling skills involved to get Jayne back up to me. Anyway, and Jayne, thank you as ever for the beautiful filming. My rock. I feel really elated to have done that. Chio to the top of Teide is one of the finest climbs definitely in Europe. I absolutely adore it. It's really uplifting. It's a lovely place to look at the views and enjoy life. There I was very focused on not falling off while still wearing the exoskeleton, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. Oh, fist pumps all around. Fist pumps. Mount Teide, Jayne and Phil, check it out, there we go. And I present to you now my own artistic interpretation of Mount Teide on my bib shorts. Check this out, all kinds of salt there on the bib shorts, and I did have plenty of electrolytes in a bottle, but look, you got here a beautiful interpretation of the mountain itself, and gloriously flying over it is the Café du Cycliste insignia. Just look at that, fine art indeed. And now for my favourite kind of descent, in the van. I think that one. And to the climbers, the ice cream spoils. Cheers.